View from the Gutters, episode 52. Welcome to View from the Gutters, the comic book podcast where each episode we discuss a collected edition, trade paperback, or graphic novel, and then recommend and vote on the book for the next episode. Warning: the discussion portion of this show has massive spoilers for that book. On this episode, we discuss Hopeless-Savages, and to skip ahead to the recommendation section, skip to 5956.
At Evergreen.
Wait, Char, did you say humping yeti or hunting yeti?
Hunting and or humping. Both, maybe.
And on that note,
Humping yetis.
humping.
Yetis love to dry
will
hump.
not be heard tonight. It will be replaced with the Humping Yetis podcast.
Yeah,
in
where
which
we talk about all the
about-
shows about humping yetis.
We talk about.
I'm
Yetis.
Andrew Chard.
Wait, is that are the Yetis doing the humping or are they getting humped?
That's
We
for
don't know.
you to find
We don't
out.
know.
That's the twist.
Actually, it's going to be.
No, I
it's
think
gonna
the
end in a
twist
question
is when we
mark.
reveal the Yetis are actually puppets.
Puppet yetis?
No, we just tell people that they're puppets. They're actually real Yetis. That's why nobody else can find them. We have all the real Yetis,
All right.
and they are either humping or being humped. We're not sure.
Okay,
All
no
right.
more
Maybe
humping.
we're the ones doing the humping. Who knows?
Let's podcast now.
That blew my mind.
Welcome to Humping Yetis.
Welcome to View from the Gutters, episode 52. I'm Andrew Chard.
I am Joe Preddy.
I'm Audrey Preddy.
I'm Tobiah Pension.
And I'm Cade Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
Tobiah has gone through reverse puberty.
I am. I'm a little girl now.
A 12-year-old girl.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
totes boy crazy.
Yeah. Toby's always been totes boy crazy.
He has
That's-
been.
in my
He's
opinion.
always like texting me in the middle of the night saying, "Come over."
Oh,
Oh my
guys.
God, I got
Wow, Dad, is no one going to compliment me on my beautiful man voice?
Yeah.
Dad.
You've got a great radio
Maybe
voice.
if you had done your chores before you came out tonight, but
Yeah.
you're grounded.
Who didn't clean the kitchen today?
Actually, Kirby cleaned the kitchen
Yeah.
today because we cleaned out the fridge and we found Jimmy Hoffa in there.
Yeah,
It was awful.
I'm glad I wasn't there for that.
No, you are glad.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sure that it smelled.
there was almost some
Fantastic.
Technicolor yawning going on
Ugh.
there. That's how bad that was.
Duh. All right. Enough
Anyways,
about Joe's fridge.
So,
Tonight we're talking about.
Hopeless-Savages.
Yay.
So you can hear more about what's out of the fridge at Out of the Fridge.
Yes,
Oh,
actually,
yeah,
you can.
our good
You can
friend,
listen to our
Eric
friend
Mannix.
podcast Out of the Fridge where they'll talk
Shout
about more
out.
savory things
Yeah, they're-
than what was pulled out of my fridge.
A little classier than Joe's fridge.
I will tell you that it was
This is a
not my
cooking show,
girlfriend.
right?
Yeah.
Out of the fridge?
It's just about leftovers.
Wait, isn't it about coming out of the closet? Because coming out of the fridge? Out the
No,
fridge?
no. It's
no.
actually they're getting ready to record their second podcast special talking about sexism. It should be easy. It should be interesting.
Yeah. Episode 8, I think?
I think so.
8 or
Not
9.
sure.
Somewhere in there. Anyway.
And
depends on when you listen to this.
Yeah,
if you listen
not
to
as
this
cool
in
as
10
us.
years.
Series regular Eric Mannix is a
Yay.
regular on that show.
Yeah, that's his
so-
show. So go listen to
Although
that.
we wish he was here more.
Yeah, well, he's got kids.
He's got other things.
Well, he's got like a kid and a half.
He's got a kid.
He's
and a
got
half.
tiny kids. Like the nice thing about having an adult kid or
Is you
a
can just,
semi-adult kid
ignore them.
like Audrey and her beautiful man voice is that I can just leave
You
her at
just
home
ignore
to
her all the time. Yeah.
And
So, Joe, you pitched this book.
I did because I really liked it. I just find it really charming. I think my hands down favorite comic books are ones that I don't have to kind of sit and contemplate the ramifications of or think about what it means in the big picture. I like characters that exist in their own universe, and I just like to have fun with them. I really like kind of ridiculous. It's one of my favorite things about Scott Pilgrim is that it's self-contained, and it while there is a greater message going on there, you can read those books and you can just have fun with like the world that's going on. And I feel that there's a lot of that in Hopeless-Savages. I mean, other than that kind of factor, the two are very different.
Yeah.
But they're both incredibly fun to read, and you can kind of their kind of playful style kind of has, there's some other things, especially in the second story in this book, in the second major arc. There's kind of some some more heavy duty stuff going on than might appear. But
which is the second trade if you read the 3 trade set.
If you read the 3 trade set, or the second of 3 trades. But for the most part, I just find it incredibly charming. I love almost all the art. There's a few times where it gets a little hinky. But even then, it's not to the point where, I mean, I've seen far, far worse. And it doesn't take away from the story at all for me. I really, really like this book. It was just so much fun to read, and I really like Skankabelle. I really like Skank Zero, and I really like her siblings. And I think that's probably my favorite thing, is that at the end of the day, it's a story about a girl and her siblings, and her parents are there, but they're never really center stage. They're always just kind of there. They're being parents to her because most of like her siblings are all grown, but it's about her and this kind of her relationship with her sibs, and I really, really like that. And I find it charming as hell. Like, I can't say anything bad about it because I put it down and I just kind of feel lighter after reading it. So, yeah, and I would recommend this to anybody. I think this is an all-ages book, and I think anybody could appreciate it if you like shenanigans.
Yeah, it's got a lot of charm in the same way that Scott Pilgrim and other
Yeah.
books that I think are considered like all age appropriate.
Well, and even like, at certain times it kind of reminded me almost of Osamangadaya, where the interplay between the characters.
It is very manga-like.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're coming at
manga-like.
this having only read manga and this is kind of your like first introduction to Western comics,
This would be a brilliant transition.
One.
This would be a really good thing.
Strong female
Pilgrim
characters,
would be
like
really good transition.
really interesting family dynamics, like in that way too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good. Cade, what you got on this series? What'd you think?
I liked it. I thought it was well written. I kind of felt it was kind of a meshing between Scott Pilgrim and Straight Angel and almost King City at times.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't feel that there was too much to say about it. I didn't feel that the third story was as strong as the other two, but it was still good.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy myself reading it.
Yeah, I think the first and the third story are not nearly as strong as the second story, in my opinion. The second story is my favorite, but...
Well, the second one is a lot more personal than the other two.
Which is why I think
especially, with Twitch and his boyfriends.
Yeah.
That was very powerful.
The scene where they're just standing in the rain for like 10 minutes. It's pretty good stuff.
That scene was awesome.
And then it like culminates with her running past them and into the arms of Ginger, and you get all this great resolution, and I don't know, it's good. But also like a great jumping off point for the next story too, because it doesn't resolve everything.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the series, is it never feels like it closes any doors. It's just like stuff just happens, it's more realistic in that way than stories that are like, and this is the end, and now everything's perfect. It's just like, no, some stuff got resolved, and there will be more problems in the future, because that's how life works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a family.
Yeah.
There's always going to be family drama in any family.
Yeah. Toby, what do you think about this one?
Pass.
Pass?
I want to hear what Audrey has to say first.
I'm saving Audrey for last.
No, I want to hear what Audrey has to say first, because I think that...
Well, she's the impetus for why we read this book.
With any all-ages book, I think the goal is that it can be appreciated by all ages.
Yeah.
But this book is definitely aimed specifically at Audrey. And people like Audrey.
I am the target
audience.
And
so before I say what I thought about this book, I want to hear what Audrey has to say about it.
I know that Audrey recommended this to Joe.
Yes, and yelled at me repeatedly for not reading it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, what was your experience with first reading this book?
I thought I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a really good book for, like, my age group.
Mm-hmm.
Because it... Like, I feel like Skank Zero isn't just, like, a teenager. Like, isn't one of those, like, oh, yeah, I'm punk. I'm like, a teenager. I'm, like, so cool. Yeah. She was kind of like, yeah, I'm a teenager. I'm a punker. Hell yeah.
Well,
like,
she was raised by
this.
Yeah.
Well,
she's
yeah.
not faking it.
You feel like the
Yeah.
character is honest.
Yeah, and not like, oh yeah, I listen to punk. Yay.
Well,
Well,
that
she's
leads-
often calling out
Like-
other people on
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
fakeness.
yeah. So I feel like she's one of those girls that's like, oh my god, I love punk.
Mhm.
And I feel like in the second story also, it really, it's hard trying to find a word for this, but I think the word I'm going to choose is humanizes her. Because when you think of a punk rocker, you don't really think of her having, like, feelings for anyone other than, like, her music, you know?
Mhm.
Especially when her older brother, is gay. Like, I feel like they didn't spend too much time on that, and they didn't drag it on, but it was, I feel like the only reason it was there was so that, Skank Zero could figure out a way to make it work.
Well, I also love that he's the one that tells her what it's
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
have heartbreak.
Yeah.
You know, to try to understand what boys are thinking.
Yeah.
It's like he's the one that tells her that.
Mhm.
And those flashback scenes with him telling her that are really touching.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of times that gay is a plot device. Like, this character is gay because it's used as a plot device. And I never get that. Like, I really like the fact that it's just kind of brought up in this very nonchalant way. And
Yeah, no,
it's like,
this-
oh, as Twitch has more experience with boys than any of us. And he's just like, here.
Well, also,
and then that's kind of it. Like, that's
Well,
this
this book was critically acclaimed for having a strong gay role model in it.
Absolutely.
well,
Absolutely.
also in a lot
When did this come out? Was it like 2004?
2000 was the first story.
Okay.
And then I believe the second one was 2002.
I'm looking at the front, but anyway, what I think about that having a strong character like that is a lot of times in fiction you'll have like, oh, this boy's like the science nerd, and this guy's like the jock, and this guy's like that, and then that person is the woman, or that person is the gay person. And it's like that is
exactly.
their character, and
Yeah.
that's so detrimental to storytelling.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, woman isn't your character type. Like, you're just, that just
Yeah.
happens to be part of who you are, but that isn't
Absolutely.
everything, you know? Like, there are, as we know, many different kinds of women in the world, and the same goes for, you know, the gay community,
yeah,
too. Like,
absolutely.
I think that they often get stereotyped as, like, and that is the gay best friend, or that is just, you know, their gay friend, and it's like, that's not their character type. That's just their sexuality. Like,
Yeah.
it has little to do with the things they like and who they are and the music that they like. And I love the scene where the interviewer is trying to needle him about talking about coming out.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, I think they could tell with the music I listened to. They just knew I was a mod.
It was a mod.
And he like can't get him to talk about it. And I love that
Twitch
scene.
wears a variation of the same exact outfit throughout this whole thing.
Yeah,
like, even
yeah.
when he's a little kid, he's wearing like the skinny tie with the black suit and the white shirt and the coat with the fur collar.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things, I think. Just that you can imagine him having this closet that's full of just these plain black suits, plain white shirts, skinny black ties, and then just that jacket. But, yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
We
Audrey,
were-
what else did you like about it?
We were talking a little bit on the way home, and we were
Yeah.
talking about how
The art style.
the art is really good, but also how you kind of can relate to Skank Zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Expound on that. Audrey.
Talk about that a little bit.
So, I feel like I can kind of relate to her because she's kind of like edgy, but not kind of like, oh, you looked at me the wrong way, I'm gonna beat your ass. Kind of like, what, homie? Like, what?
Like she is unapologetic about her
Yeah,
identity.
kind of like that. And I feel like when she has like boy troubles, but she likes this guy that likes her back, but he's not really, like, he's embarrassed to like her, kind of.
Well, he has no confidence.
Yeah, he has
Yeah,
no
he also
confidence,
has
yeah.
like zero confidence because he's like a person that is like that, and I feel like I've kind of been in that situation before because I liked this guy named and he was.
I'm gonna bleep that out on the episode. By the way,
should.
I'm gonna save you from embarrassment by
He was
beeping
not
that
the
out.
type of guy that was like honest about his feelings or didn't have the confidence with girls at all.
Mhm.
And it just kind of sucked because I was like, I know you like me. I like you too. We should make that thing happen. That like that thing.
The people that like each other do.
That see
Yeah,
each other
that
at
one
school and
thing-
say hi awkwardly in the
Oh,
hallways
shut up.
thing that you do in junior
Shut up,
high.
Dad. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Do that like dating thing. It's just
Yeah.
You mean the thing where
Yeah.
you text each other incessantly for 3 weeks and then never talk
Oh,
again?
shut up,
Yeah,
Toby.
that.
But no, I think,
the
I mean,
middle school
I think the thing is, one of the things I really like this is that I can easily see Audrey being very similar to Skankabell when she gets older because she's got that kind of. Audrey has always kind of been the kind of person that's like, this is who I am, and you are the one that has to deal with it. Like I don't have
Well,
to deal with your shitty attitude.
It's very much how you are too.
It is, but
We just have to put up with you. You never apologize for being as annoying as you are.
No,
we just
I'm
have
not.
to fucking
And
deal
yet
with it.
you guys keep fucking coming around. You know, it's
Yeah.
Can I
really
get
weird.
an amen?
Yeah.
You invited me to be on this podcast,
did.
too. You could have
I
avoided
did.
all of this.
I set this all up.
In my defense, your parents have a really awesome pool table in their basement. And, you know, I mean, your house is on on the way home from school for
Yeah.
me. So
And they smoke pot, and
They don't care if you drink in the
They
garage.
don't care if we.
I mean, that's basically the basis of every friendship that I had in middle school.
Yeah.
Well, I would. Yeah, I mean, they also had to have like Spice or the Playboy Channel too, because when I was 15, that's really all I.
For half of 1 second, I thought you meant the Spice Melange, and I was very excited.
Oh no, we're not on Dune. We're not going to go
They
and
had to
ride
have
the
copious
sandworm.
stores of spice.
We're not.
You're not smuggling for Jabba the Hutt.
No,
God damn it.
Some spice merchants.
Why
living
are
in
we
your backyard.
friends?
I because we diametrically oppose each other, and we keep each other in check.
Should I go ahead and say what I thought about this comic then?
I did want to mention the one scene that makes me feel like that he is so he has no confidence is the scene where they're sitting around over the Bunsen burner the first time it explodes, and he's basically he has more or less admitted that he likes her.
Yeah.
But he's giving her the rundown of like why this isn't going to work because he doesn't realize that she likes him back. He thinks she just wants to be friends with him. Like, oh, you're my best friend. You're like a brother to me. And so he's like listing all the things that he doesn't want to do. He's like, I don't want your head on my shoulder while you tell me what a great friend I am. And so sensitive, just like a brother.
Aww.
And there's a part of everybody that's been in that kind of relationship where it's like awkward because they're with someone else and you aren't with them.
Okay, so I found that scene incredibly disingenuous.
Really?
Because no fucking 14-year-old is that self-aware or jaded about things that largely haven't happened to him. Like, that is the dialogue of a 25-year-old.
So it says somewhere in here that
yes, but it
she's
wasn't written by a
17.
14-year-old.
Even
I
at
can
age
imagine a
17.
17-year-old.
Oh,
being
yeah,
right
that's
there.
definitely happened
Also,
to people
completely
before
ignoring
17.
what Toby said, I want to say something about this scene.
Okay. But I mean, like, that's something that happened.
And
That's
that's how
happened
we
to
do
people
that.
is like you've been in that awkward friendship with people where like they're with someone else, you're with someone else, but there's still that kind of like chemistry and tension between you. And I believe that that could have happened to him before, or at least he's watched enough movies to know that does happen to
and
people.
that's-
Yeah, but I think that the dialogue that he gives, or I guess the monologue that he gives, requires a level of self-awareness that I have a hard time believing that a 17-year-old possesses.
The thing
Going to
I really
MIT, like he's a smart
yeah,
kid.
I mean,
he's not a bottom of the barrel, knuckle dragger.
Okay,
like, this
the
kid's-
thing is that I have known a lot of guys that find themselves in that situation frequently. And every single time, like they would fall into that trap every single time of pining after these girls that were not interested in
the
them.
ungettable girl is always
I
the
think
best
this
girl.
This is what
But
the scene speaks to.
The
is-
reason that they found themselves in that situation was because they lacked the self-awareness to get themselves out of it.
I think this speaks to something. To me, this speaks specifically to the phenomenon of this whole idea of being friend zoned by a girl, and this whole
You
idea
just
that
opened
if
a whole can of
you're-
worms.
No, I'm going to say
I was
this.
specifically trying to avoid
Me
that.
too.
Well, and you're not going to, right? The thing I like this is that it totally avoids that whole thing, right? Like what he's saying is that I am not going to try and be nice to you so that you see something in me that you're not going to see. That's where I get from this. What he's saying is that I like you and I like you in this specific way. And I don't think you're ever going to like me in that way. And I'm not going to play your friend when I want more from you. Well, he's already like failed.
He's very honest with
He's
her.
rehearsed this in his, like he says that he's liked her since the first grade. He's rehearsed this. He's gone over this. And the reason I know it's true is because I was fucking that self-aware when I was 17. And I said shit like this. Like, there are plenty of kids that have been in therapy from a young age that are aware of their motivations and have problems with this. And I think the great thing about this is that nobody in here is typical. That's what I kind of like about it. In the same
they are
way,
kind of caricatures, like exaggerations
they
of
are,
that
but
kind of person.
Like, given, like, when you look around at the world of, like, child stars or children that came from money, it's like, that's very rarely is it somebody like the kids that are portrayed in this book, right? Like, they're not, while they are caricatures, I'll give you that, they're not typical. They're not spoiled rotten. They're very, like, genuine.
Well, their parents are much different than, they're not a Donald Trump or a Hilton
or a
made
Kardashian.
who made their money from business savvy or whatever and are not, like, well-grounded people in the life that is not having money. Like, these were musicians who were poor for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And understand the value of family and money. And
yeah,
I think that the one thing that I really take away from how grounded these kids are is, like, how great of parents the parents are, because they're never really active members of the story except when they're making mistakes.
Yeah,
which is to, like, highlight how most of the time they're doing a good job and sometimes they fuck up and then they apologize for it, and that's not typical of parents.
Yeah,
to be like, I've made a mistake. I was wrong.
Yeah, I love the underlying, like, especially in that second story, but it happens. It's like there's a parallel to it in the third story, but in the first story, I love the relationship between Zero and her mom. I just think that's so. I think parents in comic books have a tendency to be there for melodrama, to be like in the same way that Aunt May is there in Ultimate Spider-Man, right? It's
like, she's just there as a plot device, as like, don't find out who my secret identity is.
Yeah, right? And then I don't ever feel like I like reading a story in which, like, one of my least favorite things is, like, in the movie when the kid comes up and she's like, Daddy, there's something weird in my room. And Daddy's like, I'm busy. I ain't got fucking time for you, kid. Sorry. And then, the house is vanishing into the ground. Like, you should have just listened to your kid.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, Poltergeist. But, I mean, it happens in, like, it's like one of the biggest tropes in the movie, right? It's like,
the kids are right.
See something, the parents are either too busy or too incredulous, and then the kid turns out to be right.
Well, Joe,
it's like,
we all know that adults can't see magic.
That's true. That's true. Or fairies.
So, Audrey,
what if, does that mean I'm not an adult if I can see magic and fairies?
Yeah.
Or
it means you have the heart of a child.
It means
pure.
It means you
untainted by the world. You're not jaded.
That's
basically
exactly
you're
right,
wonderful.
Joe. Thank you for saying that.
You're a wonderful human being.
The heart of the cards is the right answer here.
It means
Cade, you have the heart of the cards.
Yay!
Now get on that Hearthstone and make us some money, Cade.
Some money.
Can you make money on that game? Never mind. No, I don't know how that works.
You can spin up. The only people making money on that game are Blizzard.
Oh, okay. Audrey, what else did you like about this series? Now that we've talked for a fucking million years.
I just liked it overall. Like, I really liked the artwork in the first and third story. I thought it was really clean and sleek. Not so much the second story. I don't like that kind of artwork.
Oh.
It's a lot sketchier.
Yeah. I feel like as if you are...
Have you read Scott Pilgrim?
No, she hasn't yet. I've not let her read it yet. She's not.
Are you going to let her read the...
Kind of hesitant.
Are you going to read the color editions first or the black and whites, Audrey?
What
do you prefer?
Black and whites.
Yeah.
I raised her right.
Good work.
Although color... Okay, there's two...
Let's hear your arguments.
Okay,
lay it on me, girl.
Like, black and white, I feel like it's more original, like it's come, like, straight from the artist, when it's colored, I feel like it's been processed and kind of like done over and kind of like older. I don't like the colors so much. I like the black and white because I feel like it's more original.
And did you come at reading comics from manga traditionally first, or are you more like a Western comics kid?
I think you started, I think the first comic book you... Well,
Joe, I wasn't
No,
asking you.
Dad, shut up.
Tell me.
First comic I read
Let's hear
was a very inappropriate comic, and it was called... I can't remember the name of it because I'm stupid. Okay, it was like
That's a good
something
name for a comic.
Eleanor. It was like something
Oh,
Eleanor, and
Lenore?
Frank got it for me.
It's Roman Dirge.
Eleanor. It was called Eleanor, and it was
It's
really
just
messed
Lenore,
up.
right?
Lenore.
Yeah, I
It's
think it was
just Lenore, yeah.
Lenore.
Yeah.
My mom called it Eleanor, and I was like,
That's what I was trying to remember.
yeah. That was my first
So
comic.
Western comics,
And
but
then-
very manga-influenced Western
Yeah.
comics.
Well,
Yeah.
then you liked Tiny Titans.
Tiny Titans is my thing.
Yeah,
and-
well, that's Art Balthazar on Tiny Titans. His art is, like,
Well, yeah.
the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
What are you doing
Joe,
over there?
stop looking over there.
I
Look at the
think-
mic.
Well,
Look
no,
at the
I
mic.
was going to say that
Joe, look
Look
at
at
the
the
mic.
mic.
Dad!
this is not my fault at all.
It
if I
is
had
your
my
fault.
own
God.
mic, this wouldn't be a problem.
Well, you don't get your own mic.
Hold on a second. I'm going to do this. So, what I was going to say is you got really into comics when we stayed up you had an earache, and I was up with you because you couldn't fall asleep, and we watched the DC animated
Yeah.
All-Star
Yeah, I remember
Superman, and then the next day
fell
she stayed home
asleep.
from school and she read All-Star Superman, and then she quickly went through all the other Superman books. Although
Yeah.
she didn't read them all. She refuses to read Emperor Joker.
Oh my god, I hate Emperor Joker so much.
But
Do
thank
not
you.
bring it up. Do not bring it up.
I want to talk
I
about
hate it.
I just want to say,
Oh my
I
God,
just want to
I
say
hate
the
it.
fact that Toby agrees with a 12-year-old shows where his taste level is.
No, like,
I haven't gotten to
like
talk
it.
about my feelings of this book in depth
Yeah.
yet.
Well, I know
oh
that it's going to
God.
make me
I'm
angry
afraid.
at you.
I am afraid.
I just-
Yeah, I was
Before
actually kind
you-
of dreading this because I didn't want to have an argument with a 12-year-old.
I will kill you,
That's
Toby.
all right.
I will kill you.
just-
She
remember
did
who's
bring her
giving you a
knives.
ride
I saw
home.
that.
Yeah. Okay. I will kill you.
All right, Toby, what would you like to say about this book? Because I have a feeling I'm going to agree with you on some of these points.
Well, I guess I'm going to start out by saying that the Bunsen burner scene is the point at which I largely began to check out on this book. I tried to keep going. I tried to bring it back around as hard as I could, and the further and further I went, the less I cared. I found this comic to be kind
Sounds
of
like Toby.
flimsy and incredibly inconsistent, consisting of largely nothing but broad strokes, and it was just unremittingly teenage.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the target audience, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Toby,
yeah.
you think?
But keep in mind that I have pitched both on this show and to Audrey herself innumerable books
Well, yeah.
that I think are very much targeted at a younger and female audience. The Plain Janes,
Street Angel.
Street
Yeah,
Angel,
Supermarket, which you didn't pitch, but you enjoyed.
Gunner Creek Court.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Gunner.
You know, there are a lot of
Queens.
I think that there's a good deal of crossover between Audrey's tastes and my own.
Yeah,
I feel like I have
for sure.
pretty broad tastes.
That only means that you're a teenage girl. Toby.
Or,
The words right out of my mouth.
or Audrey, that you're a 30-something-year-old man.
Oh, hey.
With an amazing
I played
beard.
a 57-year-old in a play. Okay?
There you
and
go.
he was an old man, and he was...
Fabulous.
Not gonna
Like,
get on
I'm sure.
Everything in this book seemed too simple, too easy, too on the nose. Like
That was-
I just could not invest myself in the story in any way because I
That's
didn't
very
feel like
fair.
anything was at
Yeah.
stake, that anything was on the line.
That was
Skank Zero in particular really began to grate on me eventually because she was just this incredibly twee character that was just kind of getting the best of everybody kind of effortlessly. And the whole scene where they're at Rat's job and she's like speaking French and the security guards are just kind of standing there slack-jawed while they roll their brother up in a carpet and then steal him.
Yeah.
Like that felt incredibly false to me.
The first story,
Is,
I have I'm on board 100%.
And I actually like the first story the best.
So the first story is a flashback, and it's being narrated by Skank Zero, which
Kind of
means I think it's,
unreliable
and she
narrator.
mentions this at the end of the first story. that-
Right. And well, she mentioned it at the beginning of the first story because it opens with her
Yeah.
filming the narration.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I actually liked the first story the best of the three of them, but I had the kind of the same problem with all of them, which is just that like it felt like their world was simplified.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was being talked down to as a reader a little bit.
I felt
because
like that in
all,
the first
I mean, all of these
story.
characters are these like they're incredibly well-adjusted people who are very true to themselves and don't really have any significant problems except for external ones. Like they don't really seem to have any deep-seated family issues. Like they don't have any. I mean, they certainly don't seem to have any kind of financial problems.
No,
like,
they're rich. I
Yeah.
mean,
Do you mind if I interrupt you for a
no,
second?
go ahead.
Go
Kate.
ahead, kid.
I felt like going into this, I had to suspend my disbelief because I do agree with you that there were a lot of moments in this book that are just not believable. Like this would not happen. These characters would not know this stuff or act this way in real life.
I don't.
So
But
I find it
I
really
feel
funny that,
that
we're having a comic book podcast where we're talking about suspension of disbelief.
Well, no,
'cause last
and
time I
that's what
checked,
I'm
people
saying
can't fly.
is that
Well, nobody
you know,
flies in this story. This is I mean,
No, absolutely.
ostensibly, this story could take place in the real world.
And
There's
I don't
nothing
see-
fantastic about this
I
story.
think
Yeah.
that I mean I understand what your problem is with it, and that's exactly what I like about it. Is that I'm tired of like everything is so fucking deep and
Yeah.
meaningful. And
Well,
everything,
no, I
and
mean,
that's
it doesn't
just-
even have to be
gets
deep and
boring all the time.
meaningful, but to just take an example of something that I've pitched, and I know Audrey's read this, The Plain Janes.
Which is one of my favorites.
Like, that story feels incredibly realistic to me, and those feel like real people.
Well, Jane has a very, and I don't want to get too much into the story, but Jane has a very real fear because she was in New York when the terrorist attacks happened, or a bomb went off in a garbage can.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so she has a very real internal fear. And none of the characters, you're right, none of the characters in the story have any internal conflict. But I don't know what they would be internally conflicted
Well,
about,
no, I
except
think the
that
second story has got a lot of internal
she,
conflict.
well,
on
she
it.
likes a boy, which I mean, technically could be considered
But she's
external
also
conflict.
dealing
Well, no.
with, I think that second story, she's dealing with a lot of what young women have to deal with today.
Yeah.
Being called a slut because
Mm-hmm.
she's different, being assumed that she's easy, and Toby's making his face, and that's
No,
all right because he's walking over
I'm
to-
agreeing with your points.
No, that was
and
the-
that's the thing.
And
Your
that's what I'm
smarmy
saying. Like,
face
I
looks
was
very similar to your agree with me face.
I was trying to find things to like about these stories, and there were some things that I liked. I mean, this story, I mean, it wasn't completely bad, but it was. I think it was really the second story and the whole thing with her and the boy and trying to feel like I like him and he likes me, but he doesn't want to be with me and blah 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 blah. And like all these guys are hitting.
That's
me.
the best
No,
part. I want to
totally.
read more
I don't
stories
see.
about
I
it.
don't know
Yeah,
what
I
story
don't
you're
see
reading.
what-
I
That's
checked
not at
out
all the story.
because-
That's not at all the story.
Especially when you say that, and yeah, that's what it's really like. When
Yeah.
you like someone and they like you back, but he doesn't want to be with you because
I don't- and I
he's
don't-
too afraid
Preach, girl.
that you.
What?
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah.
Give me a
Amen,
hallelujah.
sister.
Give me a
Hallelujah.
hallelujah. Okay,
Get an
because
amen.
it's very easy to think that, oh yeah, that's easy. They're just in middle school. Like,
Well, I also think that
No,
she has a very
like-
serious problem that's set up very well at the beginning of the story where the guy who she thinks is cute comes up to her and is like, oh, hey, this is hokey, but I want to take you out on like an old-fashioned date. We'll go to the movies or whatever. And
yeah, and
as
he
she's
does that
going...
with every girl.
Yeah, as she's going to go talk to him, Ginger tries to protect her from seeing the fact that he does that to every girl.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
it's
And
incredibly dismissive to write that off as all these guys are hitting on me because what they're doing is they're assuming they're trying to sleep with her.
Yeah.
Because they think that she's easy.
I was looking for this quote
And,
earlier.
like, I think that it's because, and I think the thing is, right, is that, and I'll say this, one of the reasons I really like this is because I have a kid. Specifically, I have a daughter. And so when I read that story, like that, you know, I'm very close. I grew up with a sister, and not just a sister, but my sister had a reputation in our neighborhood, and she was treated in that way. And so it hits close to home with me. This is not just girl likes boy, boy likes girls. This is about what it's like when you like somebody that's fucking you think is out of your league.
Well, and I also...
and that's fine. Like, I'm willing to be the minority opinion here because I recognize that my life experiences are not everybody's life experiences. And I'm sure that this is a really good book for Audrey and for girls like her who are going through something like this. But that wasn't my experience as a middle schooler or a high schooler. Like, I've never had to go through anything like that. I don't have any close female relatives.
Never had superpowers, but I can still relate to Spider-Man.
It did not appeal to me in the way that other things have.
People don't interact this way in robot school, is what it is.
Also, the quote that I was looking for earlier that I couldn't find and then found now is how honest she is with her brothers and sisters about what's going on in her life is something I really liked. They're sitting around the dinner table talking about her being grounded, and Arsenal is telling her, like, well, isn't there somebody better? Can't you find somebody better than Ginger? She's like, better than Ginger? No, I really can't. There are boys who want to get sticky with me, apparently, and could probably even find a couple nicer than that. But Ginger is so smart and so himself, and what she's realizing is like, oh, well, I mean, I could get guys. Like, that's not the issue here. It's like, I want to find the right guy. And I think that's admirable, and it's admirable to have that as a role model in a book aimed at girls, written by a female author. It doesn't feel pandery to me. It feels like, you know, this is a good life lesson. It's just because something's easy doesn't mean you should do it.
Actually, you know what this reminded me of in contrast, and it's a book that I've wanted to pitch on the show for a while and haven't, which is Friends with Boys by Faith Erin Hicks, which is actually kind of a similar story in a certain way, because it's about a girl who has 4 older brothers, all of whom were homeschooled. And it's basically, it's like she's a freshman in high school and she's getting to go to public school for the first time. And so she's suddenly thrust into all of these social situations. And I think there are a lot of similarities between that book and this one. But I liked that one a lot more because it felt really real, where this one did not.
Well, this is obviously very much a fantasy story about like a rich punk rock family, which doesn't really exist.
I should also mention that story has a ghost in it.
It's fantastic, but I think it's fantastic in the same way like your average everyday sitcom is.
Audrey, you would love that book. Don't fucking make that face at me.
Because I mean, like, the thing is he's talking about realism, but like, I happen to know that you love Street Angel, and there's absolutely nothing realistic about that.
There's absolutely nothing
Okay,
real
but-
about
12-year-old girl on skateboard lane
there are realistic things about that book, and it's not a realism of setting; it's a realism of character.
And I see,
Pretty
and I
sure
find
Street
the
Angel
same
feels like
realism.
a real person to me. When she's like crawling through a dumpster, I'm talking about a book that probably a lot of you haven't read.
But we've recommended on the
We've
show, so you
recommended
should have
that,
read
so you
it.
should have
She's
read it
crawling
if you're
through
a
a
good
dumpster
person.
because she's homeless, and she suddenly ducks down and hides because there's a girl from her school, and she doesn't want to see that girl rooting from a dumpster. When like 3 pages earlier, she like kicked the shit out of Satan, like literally the personification of Satan on earth. She hits him with a skateboard. That feels like a real character to me.
Why? Because of the inconsistency and like the fears of.
Because you know, she's not afraid of monsters. She's afraid of what her peers think of her.
And I feel, well, go ahead.
But I mean, that's not the book that we're talking about this week, so I don't want to get too deep into the motivations of a character.
I mean,
everybody hasn't read that
this
book.
is just as real to me when Skank comes home and she's just found out that Ginger likes her and that guy is kind of poking at her, and she's like, I'm grounded and all this other shit sucks and blah, blah. I mean, that feels very real to me.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, I think there are it is very sitcom to me.
Well,
but like,
it's in the same way that like sitcoms are realistic, quote unquote, but still like weird shit will happen. Like they have $1 million and can put security systems on their like Lower East Side Manhattan apartments that are massive for some. Like there's just like all these inconsistencies in sitcoms.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, exactly.
But it's like it's meant to be real, but it's obviously
there's
like
no way
fantastic.
that a fucking I know. This is going to be a brief digression. Is Seinfeld supposed to be himself in his show? Or is he supposed to be...
No, he's himself.
He plays
because
Seinfeld.
I never, like...
But he's a Seinfeld after he's made it as a stand-up.
Okay,
like when he was making a lot of money.
You see these shows all the time where like so-and-so is a struggling artist and yet they have a fucking loft in New York City. That's bullshit.
Well, no, that's
a
what I
loft
mean
in New
about...
York City
okay,
costs like $3,000.
that's something else that bothered me. The fact that she has this like middle school band and like, oh my God, all these record like labels want to sign her.
high school.
And, like,
band?
because
high
of
school.
their,
and that's
It's because of
the
her parents. Like, I get that. It just
But
felt
that's
a
why
little
the
bit
first
too
story feels so unrealistic
perfect.
to me.
Well, think about Rebecca Black. Her parents had a lot of money. She made out with one song, and
Yeah,
everybody was
because
up in
it's
that.
Friday.
Or
beat.
Justin
Yeah.
Bieber,
Oh,
or
God.
It is
anyone
Friday.
of the
Well,
number of
and
other-
like there's lots of young musicians that get signed. Like it's
Yeah.
not even T Swizzle and Lord and
Yeah.
all them.
Right, and,
I
and,
mean,
and,
we
and
just
that's the thing
went,
is it's
like-
not any one thing; it's all the things put together.
Well, I
and I
think-
recognize the fact
yeah.
that at a certain point, enough of these little things had grated on me that I became increasingly less willing to give it, faith
Credit?
and credit for what it was doing, and was only looking at like this thing bothers me, and this thing bothers me, and this thing bothers me. And at a certain point, like I just checked out. And I
Well-
recognize that if those things had not bothered me as much, I'd be more willing to kind of ignore the flaws and look at what's good about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess for me,
I can't like it.
I guess for me, the thing is, when I say suspend your disbelief, is this is a much more realistic book than most comics that are out there. But some of the things in the book are just not believable. And so
Yeah.
you do have, if you want the payoff that comes with the book, you do have to suspend your disbelief.
Right.
When you're talking about a book that has ghosts in it or
superheroes or
Street
whatever.
Angel specifically, she's kicking the shit out of the devil, so it's obviously not real.
Yeah.
So you don't have to suspend your disbelief as much. You just kind of have to go along with it.
Yeah, and it's called buy-in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, no, and I
I-
mean, I think that's at the end of the day, when we end up arguing about a book, that's what we're arguing about is
Yeah.
buy-in. And today it's you with this. A few weeks ago, it was me in Identity Crisis. It's always going to be a thing. And
Well-
like, as much as I like calling Toby names, and as much as I know he likes it, this is something I think can all agree on. It's like,
well, it's
it
all,
is. It's
you
like
were-
there's been plenty of things that Toby has recommended to me that I'm like, this is shitty, and then it's like, and then we argue about it. And really, it's not that. It's just that it's like we said last week.
yeah.
It's
about how
all
much-
about what you're willing to forgive
Exactly.
because of what you gain from it. And if you don't gain enough out of a work, then you're not going to fucking forgive the things that bother you.
Well, I had like the opposite response because I don't like the first story in this book at
Yeah.
all. Not to mention the massive plot hole that is the whole first story. But it feels a lot more unrealistic, and that's I can forgive it because it's the unreliable narrator and the fact that like the managers weren't really there to sign her. It's something that she added to the story later to make it more
exactly.
exciting and whatnot. But once the second story hit and it became a much more personal story, not about something fantastic like the mob kidnapping or skinheads kidnapping your parents and like all this weird stuff, and it became about a very personal, like, I am this type of girl and guys think a very specific way about me, and they think they know me already and that's not who I am. Like, I found that so much more relatable than the first story, which was just like, yeah, my parents have never been kidnapped by skinheads, and then I like had to go
But you have been
reform
a
the
17
band.
You
Like,
have been a 17-year-old girl.
no, but I
that's in
have
love
been a
with
person who is often judged on their appearance,
Yeah.
and people think that I'm a certain way, even though I'm not, and that
People
is-
always try to start fights with you.
Whoa, I don't even want to talk about that today. I will get enraged again. Somebody tried to pick a fight with me at a Walgreens. I don't know why. I'm still mad about it. Like,
But
it
watching
happened like a
Charlie
week
talk
later.
about it was one of the funniest
I
things.
was like
I've
4
ever
I have
beers
seen.
in.
completely not heard of the
Well,
story.
you dropped me off at Walgreens the other night because
Yeah.
I wanted cigarettes, and so I was 4 beers in the other night, and this guy who's standing in front of me in line, who's got like a lips kiss tattooed on his neck. He's like 4 feet tall, and he's just like he's sagging, or he has sports shorts so big that they look like they're pants. I don't know what was going on, and he had like a hat on, and he's just like trying to be this tough, bullshit little kid, and I was looking at him because I was like, I've never seen a person this much shorter than me, because I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'9", but he was like considerably shorter than me, like a foot shorter than me. And I'm behind him trying to look over him at the cigarettes, and he's like, bro, you gotta back up off me, man. It's just getting real awkward. I just, that shit, man, it irks me. I can't fucking handle it when people are just like, no, dude, I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. my response to him was very polite, which was, don't fucking talk to me. And then he shut up, which is great because that's, it's all it takes. But I was just furious for like a day after that. I was so mad because I cannot believe that people would just treat strangers like that and just, I don't like it.
So if I'm hearing your story correctly, you were standing too close to somebody.
I was standing too close.
He asked you to back away and you
very
yelled at
rudely, and I told him to not fucking talk to me.
If he had turned around in a very
Also,
clipped, like
he had a lot of room in front of him that he could have stepped forward. He was in the way, is what was happening here. He was in the fucking way.
What if he had turned around and said in a very clipped, like effete British accent, "Excuse me, sir, could you please?"
I would have stepped back. I would have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I did not realize in your bubble."
I feel quite crowded by your presence.
No, he was being a fucking punk ass, and
fuck that guy.
I didn't enjoy it. Anyway, I'm like, the point is, I can understand how someone would feel being judged on their appearance or the way they act and not necessarily having people spend the time to get to know them. And I think that's what's important about the second story, is it feels much more personal to me.
Yeah.
Well, the first one is, I could take it or leave it. Like, if I had only read the first story, I would not have liked this book that much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even the third story goes back to more of what the first story was like, which is more, fantasy, there's conspiracy and whatever. But I like Arsenal as a character, so I want to read about her a little bit
Arsenal's
more.
character is awesome.
Yeah, she's
great. I feel
great.
like they put it together really, really well.
Yeah.
Other than just like, oh yeah, here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna make an awesome big sister. She fights a lot, and she's off.
Well, because I think she's given...
I feel like there was a lot more planning that went into planning Arsenal.
Well, and I like the parallel between the story they tell in the second one with her mom in Turkey going to get Dirk and her going to get Claude. And I thought that was kind of a nice little reference.
Yeah.
It's like a nice little self-referential moment.
But yeah, for me, the second story is what shines in here, and the rest of the book.
I'll give you the
I could
second
totally
story is
leave it.
definitely I think the strongest one.
But
and I know that because Toby didn't like it.
Obviously.
on the scale of yes, it's. I often call up Toby in the middle of the night to ask him if he liked something, so I know whether or not I hated it.
You know what I like? Not being woken up in the middle of the fucking night.
Well, maybe if you had better opinions. I'm just saying.
You guys are adorable together, and I hate you both.
Oh, it's funny because I actually had a really interesting moment for me because I'm used to being the person that's like has the contrary opinion, and like it used to be that I just wanted to have a fucking contrary opinion, but now I mostly keep my mouth shut. But every once in a while, I want to know if something's me or not. And last night we were over at Kirby's parents' house, and her mom really wanted to watch Silver Linings Playbook. And I was kind of in a crappy mood, but I was like, whatever. I'll give it. And so I watched it, and I was like, I guess it was okay. Like, my biggest problem, I think it's good that it brought some light to, like, mental illness in America. But, like, my biggest problem is that you have fucking Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence,
who
are, like, beautiful fucking people. And I'm just like, people that look that perfect don't have problems. I'm sorry. Like, no. I'm not buying that these are average Americans. I'm just not.
Dad,
but,
you...
I was leaving, and I'm a big David O. Russell fan. I really like Three Kings, and I like I Heart Huckabees, and so I texted my sister while we're going home, and I'm like, so Silver Linings Playbook was not as good as I Heart Huckabees, right? That's not just me, right? And I was expecting her to go, are you fucking not? She goes, oh, no, not at all. And I'm like, okay, it's not just me.
Well, they're totally different movies.
They are.
It's
they're
like
totally
comparing
different,
apples and different shaped apples.
I feel like... The
apples.
resolution in I Heart
doesn't make
Huckabees
any
is
Still
sense.
movies, Audrey.
I Heart
Think about
Huckabees
it.
is a much more satisfying
Doesn't make any
resolution
sense.
to me.
Makes all the sense.
Well,
But,
Dad, you say that they are too perfect to be...
They're just ridiculously
like,
beautiful.
no, okay, so you say that, right? And then you're like... Well, and then it's, like, hard to believe that, let's say you have, like, this stereotypical boy who wears big glasses and...
Yes, I know.
Blonde
I'm judging
hair.
somebody on how they look.
And... hypocrite.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying that...
Hypocrite.
That's a good call.
That is a good call. And I'm not... I want to be perfectly clear in what I'm saying here. It's not that beautiful people don't have
wanna be
problems.
clear that
Clearly,
they're
right? I
hypocrite?
said that for comic effect. Even though I'm beautiful and I have very few problems. It's that I don't buy Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence as like average people.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's films,
Wait,
man.
I have to
have
go
you
back to
seen
something for a
Jennifer
second. Audrey, were you describing Skrillex?
No, she was describing me when I was young.
Okay.
Because I was when I
No.
was
When Joe
and
was
that's the
young, he
thing,
was
it's like,
Skrillex.
Skrillex
when
is
I was
bad.
young, I was Skrillex. I will travel back and I traveled forward and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Somehow.
what Audrey is referring to is, I think, why I relate to that second story is because when I was in middle school and going up, I had long hair. I was very, very thin. I wore these big chunky glasses because I don't fucking know why. It was like the mid 90s, right?
That
'Cause
was
I'm
exactly
ancient.
how I looked.
And I got my ass beat. I was picked on consistently. And people were always like, are you a girl or a boy? When it was quite clear that I was a boy.
I
He
once
has
had
a penis.
I once had a teacher give a 15-minute talk to the class about welcoming the new student, me, using nothing but feminine pronouns.
Nice.
15 fucking minutes
explains
while
a
the
lot.
entire class was busting up because apparently everybody else was able to identify my gender correctly in 5 seconds except for the teacher.
The best thing was that my grandmother was always yelling at me to cut my hair, but I'd go over to see her while she was playing bridge, and if her friends talk shit about me, Grandma would not have it, man. Grandma would go the fuck off. So that was awesome. But I mean that kind of I think it's that mixed with the fact that I have a kid, and one of the things I really worry about is how men are going to treat her clearly because. It's like whether you
People
want
at
to
my
admit it
school
or
don't
not.
dare mess with me.
Sexism
all.
is an institution in this country, and women are treated poorly. All right, and not by everybody, not by all men, by any means.
Certainly by me.
Certainly by Chard, who will take them to Taco Bell. Why would you take anybody to Taco
That's
Bell?
how I like to date.
He had a girl the other day. He was like, I'm going to take you out somewhere really nice, and then I'll let you supersize it. That was his idea of romance.
Yeah. I'll get you a
was
bottle
crazy.
of Thunderbird off the bottom shelf.
It's just
And we'll go
crazy.
out for a Big Mac.
It's crazy.
That's how I like to
But,
date them.
Whopper and a 40?
Wine them and dine them.
All right. Well, do we have anything else to say
Yes.
about Hopeless-Savages?
I want to talk about the massive plot hole in the first
Oh
story.
my
The
god,
bastard.
hard.
The gaping plot hole.
the quivering maw of just plot emptiness.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
I
Toby,
should
did
totally
you know?
fucking
Did
spoil
someone
it.
know?
I should
Did
totally
someone
spoil it
notice?
for you.
No,
I actually
nobody
I don't know what you're
noticed
talking about.
Okay.
Although when you
Nobody
say it,
noticed
I
except
may
for
go,
you.
oh, fuck yes.
No, because a lot of people don't know a lot about music law, except for me. The whole purpose of the first story is they kidnap the parents so that the parents will sign away the rights to the song to the rich guy so that his boy band can do a cover song of that original song.
Yes.
No, they
They
no,
don't
I think
actually need that.
They don't need the legal consent.
No, Chad, I have finally found a way around that.
What? Tell
They
me.
need the rights so that it would no longer be their parents' song. It will be their song.
It doesn't matter.
It will
though.
be
It doesn't
covered
matter.
as their
It's
song.
irrelevant.
So you can record a cover of somebody
Yes.
else's song without their permission?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you think Alien Ant Farm got Michael Jackson's songs? Do you think they paid for it? Because they definitely could not afford that.
I guess not.
But
So,
you can't use
I've never
it in
understood.
a
I mean, I've always
commercial.
assumed that,
Yeah, you can't use it without a license.
Most artists basically license their works to their record company as
Right.
part of their publishing agreement, and I assumed that it was the record company that was basically handing out the licenses to do covers, and the bands didn't really have much say in it.
No, to license the music for commercials or film or television or
Anything
any
like
of that,
that.
yes, you need the record label's consent. But if you're
Or
a
to
band, if
sample
you're
the
an
music,
artist,
don't you?
no, actually, samples you don't legally need the right to. Most people who sample, most hip hop artists and producers, will pay for it anyway to avoid any legal altercation.
Right.
Well,
Like-
and for the kickbacks, it's like, yes,
Right.
I'm going to pay you to sample this song so that you pay me if one of your artists wants to sample one of my songs.
It's something that happens in the business now is like we just cover our tracks. But what is illegal is if you use that song, changed a little bit of it, and then called it your own song.
Like Vanilla Ice.
Like Vanilla Ice, but even more like Led Zeppelin and guys like that were basically taking old blues songs, changing a few of the words, and then repackaging them as their own
See, that's
material.
funny
It was
because
a
wasn't
very-
there that song by Bittersweet Symphony, I guess a while ago at this point, that was lifting a riff off of a Led Zeppelin song?
I know that
No, it
their
was
stuff
a
has
different-
been lifted before.
I remember there being a kerfuffle about that.
Yeah.
Kerfuffle? What kind of word is
Yeah.
that, Toby?
It's similar to a Ranny Gazoo.
Which is
I think
in the
I have
same
finally
family as a
gathered that
hullabaloo.
Toby is crazy.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
a
He's lost.
kerfuffle is in
A
the
kerfuffle
same...
is actually a word.
It's like a snafu.
So is Ranny Gazoo. Those are both actual words.
It's
they
also
belong
it's like
to
a
the-
snafu.
Well, it's the snafu is general. It's both of those things are covered under the family of hullabaloos.
Now, Chard, even knowing the whole thing about doing the cover, I actually felt that when he wanted the rights to it, I thought it was because he wanted to use the cover to get people to listen to the old stuff, and if he owns the old stuff, then every...
Well, I mean, it's also ignoring the fact that any contract is void if it's signed under duress, and I don't think that they'd have a lot of trouble.
Well, but he
pitching to the police the fact that their house was tossed and they were kidnapped.
Well, that's why they had
he's
to have
gonna
the
blow
lawyer.
him up at the end. He specifically makes reference to that. He's like, I didn't think it would hold up in court, so I'm going to kill you. And that's what
Either
I
way-
think. What I take from that is that this is not what really happened, right? It's
Yeah.
entirely possible that Skank's parents went out to do this, and she's making this is her movie to get into film school.
Yeah, that's fine, but if you're going to play the unreliable narrator card, that has to do something within your story.
Yeah, I was waiting because I was really interested as to like why they were kidnapped. I didn't really care so much for the rest of the story, but I was like, oh, I wonder who kidnapped them and what could it possibly be for? Was it an old like dueling bands debt? Like, was it another rival band and they were gonna like do something cool? And then it turns out to be this weird legal ruckus, and it was just not as satisfying. The payoff wasn't satisfying.
Also, I was not amused by the name of their old manager, Norwegian Blue.
I'm going to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go home and I'm going to open up my game of Harvest Moon. I'm going to buy 2 chickens and I'm going to name one Chard and one Toby.
And then
I'm going
kill
to
them?
wait until they grow up and then I'm going to fucking sell them.
Would that make you feel better, Joe? I thought you were gonna make them fight, and I was
That
like,
is-
you can't do that in that
That
game.
is an incredibly petty revenge.
And then I'm going to
Don't
post it
sell
on
me.
our petty revenge and I'm going to get a shit ton of karma for it.
I think that you
I
should
doubt
post
it.
it on our shitty petty revenge.
Yeah.
I think that
You should post it on
post
our shitty
your-
friends. Do they have that?
Our shitty friends?
Yeah. Is that a thing?
It probably is.
I mean, that's...
Do you guys sub to that?
No.
Because you should.
There,
be,
I'm sure there is.
You should be in that group.
I think everything has a
Earned.
circle jerk and a shitty version of it.
Yeah. I don't know how to Reddit. So who knows?
Anyway, I really like digressing because I can see Toby's face start to contort the further I get away from what we're talking about, and it's fucking hilarious to me.
One day, my eyelid will start twitching so hard and so fast
You'll fly
that it
away.
will actually put out a high-pitched frequency that will cause your brain to implode.
Well, how would you fucking get home then?
I'd
You would
walk.
take your keys.
You know, I'd really
Take
be
your
okay
keys.
with
You're
that
dead,
at that
Joe.
point.
You're dead. It doesn't matter.
I was just about to say, we'd loot the body.
We all know
it's
how to
like
drive.
killing a raid boss.
Yeah.
You don't
There's only a
leave
one way
without
all
looting
to
the
have my
body.
keys
We
on
get
me.
all of those dragon points. What are they called?
Dragon kill points, yeah.
Yeah, we get those
So,
for killing the dragon.
Those
that is
actually
you.
aren't a real thing anymore.
Whatever.
I love how
don't
Toby
know.
says he hates getting off track, but he was the cause of getting off track this time.
Your face is the cause of getting off track.
Burn.
Yeah.
Audrey,
Need some burn
would
ointment
you
for that?
Audrey,
Yeah,
would you
'cause you got
recommend this
burnt,
to
Audrey.
who would you recommend this to, kiddo?
Who do you think?
That's, I
Look
don't
Look
know
at the
who he
mic,
asked.
Joe.
What?
Yeah,
Look at the mic when
Dad.
you talk.
Look
No.
at the mic.
No, listen. You know what? There's going to be a bunch of people out there. I can't hear Joe. And that's just the way it is. All right? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
nothing of value.
Joe
is
was
lost.
loud enough.
Seriously.
I'm just shaking my head because editing your voice to not be fucking really quiet all the time and then really loud all the time and then really quiet all the time. It's
Well,
going to be a
it's not
fucking
just
nightmare.
that it gets
I'm sorry.
quiet.
So
it
this
gets,
is just
it
work
sounds like
for me,
mumble.
Joe.
I honestly don't. It's
Fuck
a-
our listeners.
fucking-
I'm concerned with the effects it has on me as a human.
That makes it much more real for me.
I hate
Much more
you.
satisfying to do this.
I hate you so much. All right. I'd like to move on to recommendations.
I think that
Wait.
would be an appropriate thing to do.
There's one more thing that I wanted to say, and it was something that Toby said a lot
too late
earlier
now.
in the podcast.
Okay, no.
He
go for it.
said that in Street Angel, she hid in a garbage can because she was afraid of what her peers thought of her. She is not afraid because she doesn't give a crap. because that's her character type.
That's
You can't use that as a useful argument.
You gotta be specific.
Zero.
Zed.
What the heck?
That's what they call it.
Anyway, Skank Zero doesn't care about what people think of her. Although she does
except
care
when
what
she
her
does.
crush does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what humanizes her.
Yeah, that's what makes her like an actual teenage girl, because I don't give a crap about what anybody says about me. But if my crush is saying stuff, I'm gonna be up in there like faster than a monkey on a banana.
So here's the thing, is that I felt like Zero was this character where like she always knew exactly how she felt and never really cared about what other people thought, and was just like always felt like she knew exactly what to do in a situation.
Is that not what all teenage girls think? All the time?
You know what?
All the
I
time?
don't understand women, let alone a subset of women being teenage girls. So I am not even going to try and answer
I think
that
that's
question.
fair. I think
That's a fair response.
That is a fair response. Which
All
is
right.
why I
It's okay,
like it.
Toby.
There are
It's
days
okay.
when humanity is a fucking mystery to me.
Oh, every day. That is a mystery to me.
Uriday.
Every day.
Uriday.
Perrier. Every day.
Let's move on to recommendations.
So what do you want to do?
Joe, why don't you start us off?
I'll start us off with the recommendations. Is that good?
Yeah, that's great.
Is that
Yeah, you're.
good?
Yep.
So in keeping with the fact that I'm fucking sick and tired of superheroes, I brought well, I keep going into my book and like my collection is like 70% superheroes, and I'm like, no, maybe I'll bring no. So
I had to. Yeah, I have that same problem. My pick was actually, it's not a superhero book that's disguised as a superhero book. Go ahead, Joe.
So I brought Chew, which is a book that I have liked for a while, although I haven't read much of it because I don't have any money to buy more trades. And also because I get distracted at the drop of a hat. But it's also been recommended by several of our faithful viewers or listeners. You know, I guess if you're synesthetic, then you may see us. That's fine.
If you watch our video show,
Oh yeah,
you
if
get
you
to
watch
see me.
I mean, you won't see me because I'm elusive, like the Yeti.
And you do see us if you go to the host bios page.
You can't prove that's me. Anyways, it's by John Layman and Rob Guillory.
Gilroy.
Gilroy?
Guillory? I don't know. It looks like Guillory.
That's Guillory.
I've always
But
said
maybe,
Gilroy. That's probably wrong.
it could be.
Guillotine.
It's Guillory.
And it's about a detective that has it's about a detective that he basically has a psychic taste, sense of taste,
Like psychometry, only with his mouth.
Yeah, so like he can, there's mediums that can go in and touch something
He's a
and tell you.
psychopath is what they call
He's
it.
a cybopath. A cybopath?
Whatever.
I think it's
Psychopath?
chibopath, actually.
Whatever you want to
But
call it.
it's because it's CIBO, right?
Whatever.
Anyways, he can basically taste something and he gets a psychic impression of what that thing is and where it's been. And he gets drafted by this very shady organization to work with them.
The FDA.
The FDA. Hey, dude, if you don't think the fucking FDA is shady, it's actually not directly with the FDA, is it?
Yeah, he works for the FDA because recently with the onset of bird flu, chicken has been made illegal. And so the FDA is cracking down on illegal underground chicken speakeasies where you can go get chicken, like chicken soup or
Bockiesies.
Or what? Yeah. God damn it. And so he gets, he works for the FDA and he basically has to like taste shit for them to see if it's chicken, and if it is chicken, if he can track to where it came from so they can shut down.
So he can experience that chicken's entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like he's there to shut down chicken farms and whatnot. But it very clearly becomes about something that is not that only.
And
there's a big conspiracy and government cover up, and if you like any of that, like conspiracy theory and weird stuff, and supernatural element things and space and science, like pseudoscience, it's fun. And the art is fucking amazing.
The art is amazing.
It's right up my alley as far as art is concerned. It's very animatorly in the way that everything is very exaggerated, and the colors look like cells from
Would you
a
say
cartoon.
it's like an Adult Swim cartoon, perhaps?
Maybe
a Nicktoon?
I would say it's better than that. Like it feels much more like I mean, the plot is much more adult than those things. Like, it is much more serious.
I just mean in terms of the animation.
In terms of the animation, I feel like the animation is even better.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking of things like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, where, like, nobody is on fucking model. Like, it's just all kind of weird and stretched and pushed.
It's more like caricature-y, kind of exaggerated.
Yeah.
Like, it is when it needs to be, but for the most part, I feel like the animation style or the art style is very polished, and everybody feels on model a lot.
Yeah,
but
and I really like
they
the color.
use it for exaggeration. Like, they use it well.
Yeah.
There's push and pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it's fun, and it's
the colors
unique.
are fantastic.
The colors are fantastic, and it's unique. It's not like a lot of other things that I've read. It's actually like nothing I've read before. And so I appreciate it because I like it's one of those things that is novel but also good, as opposed to novel for like novelty's sake, and that's what I kind of really like about it. So, chew.
And Rob Guillory does his own colors on this series, so
Which I always like,
me
because
too.
then you're getting kind of the ultimate effect of the art.
Yeah.
Like,
Cool.
just kind of cutting out that having to explain to somebody else how you want something colored.
All
I
right.
think is
So, Audrey, do you want to pitch next, or do you want me to go?
You should go.
Okay. So I'm bringing back a comic that I pitched once before, and it's Scurvy Dogs by Andrew Boyd and Ryan Yount. And this is a 6-issue limited, or maybe it was only 5-issue limited series that came out about 10, 11 years ago. And it's a book about pirates in the modern day. And actually, they're kind of shitty pirates. One of them used to be a member of Menudo. And they fight space Vikings and monkeys and the hobo mafia. And there's one guy who's always searching for Davy Jones's locker to get his precious tang. It's
Space Tang.
Word.
yeah, and by Davy Jones I mean the guy from the Monkees, Davy Jones,
Not the underwater
not the underwater guy.
figurative Davy Jones locker
Yeah.
of the ocean guy. Not that guy.
No, the guy from the Monkees who
Okay.
has a locker full of tang.
Sweet.
Anyway, it's a really funny, ridiculous comic from a while ago. It's black and white. There's a lot of like 80s pop culture references. At one point, the robot doctor from Buck Rogers shows up,
Nice.
just kind of there doing his thing. It's pretty cool. And it's a funny book that I really enjoyed. And if you like
Nice.
pirates and things that are funny, you should totally vote for this book.
Sweet. Cade, what you got?
It actually brings to mind another pirate book that I want to recommend sometime, but I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so I brought a redemption pick as well that I've talked about previously and said one of my all-time greatest fuck-ups, which was, if Batman didn't have superpowers, would he still be a hero? And the answer to that is, Batman doesn't have superpowers.
Yes, he
Well,
does.
he
We had
has-
this conversation the last time you
Yeah.
pitched it. He totally has superpowers.
His superpowers are money
That's a damn good superpower. I
And
wish I
dead
had that
parents.
one.
and dead parents.
Okay, well, my book is called Powerless, by Matt Chernis and Peter Johnson, with art by Michael Gaydos, who illustrated the Alias book that we have yet to talk about, but it has been recommended.
Possible long run contender for the future.
Yeah, possibly. So this is a book about some Marvel superheroes and what it would be like for them if they did not have superpowers.
Nice.
And like, what exactly makes them heroes? Like, if Matt Murdock didn't have superpowers to become Daredevil, would he still be a hero? Would he,
Nice.
would he save people using his criminal justice, law, knowledge, powers that aren't really powers?
Sweet.
And it's a pretty good book, I think.
So did this... Okay, so Wolverine is in this book. So is his issue basically just a close-up on a grave for, like, an entire issue? Because he was born in, like, the 1830s. He would be long dead.
Well, in this one, he has, like, amnesia. He has, like, memories that don't actually exist kind of thing. And he makes this arm bracer thing that gives him claws that can shoot out. And I mean, and he's an assassin.
Is he still the best he does? Is he the best at what he does still?
And what he does isn't pretty.
Yeah. Is he not that anymore?
No,
He
it's
is.
somebody else.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I want to see the Bruce Banner Powerless, where he just runs around in like gym shorts and tries to lift up cars but can't, and like poops himself because he's like, "Ugh, the strain."
So you know how Mr. Terrific always says that he's the third smartest man in the world? I want to see the comic where it's the guy who's the third best he is at what he does.
Yeah,
Or the third best there is at what he does.
it's Ripclaw.
No, it's triathlon.
Oh my god, it is Triathlon.
He's three times as I don't even know. Like, so I found out about this character years ago because Brant, has been on the show and like forever, told me about him.
Episode 11?
And he was like, he's three
Yeah,
times
something like
stronger
that.
than the strongest guy, 3 times. And so there was always some confusion as to whether or not that was an awesome power, because if you were 3 times stronger than the strongest person in the room and you were in the room with like She-Hulk, you'd be pretty fucking strong.
Yeah.
But if you were just 3 times stronger than a normal guy, then you wouldn't even you'd maybe be around Captain America level.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not even. So you're kind of like, why are you on the Avengers? You're the guy they leave at the mansion.
Well, no, if you're
Like,
always in the same room as like the Hulk and Captain America and
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic, then you're always going to be like.
you're always going to be
So
good. But the
you
thing
want
is
them
that
on the Avengers because
it's
he's
the-
no good as a street level.
It's the latter, not the former. Like, he's only 3 times as strong as a strong guy, and he's only 3 times as fast as a fast
Yeah, because I mean,
guy.
if he's 3 times stronger or 3 times better at whatever thing than like the people around him, doesn't that mean that he's just the best at everything?
Yeah, I mean, he would be, and that's why his power could be really cool. But it's not that. He's just 3 times as whatever, as some arbitrary thing.
As the middle of the road guy.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I can...
Like, does that mean that he's 3 times stronger than like the median strength of a human being? Like, if you get like a bunch of people together to lift weights, like triathlon would get stronger because it would push that
you
number
could
up.
average that number. It's just arbitrary.
Actually, I
They're
said
like-
median, but I guess I meant average.
You meant average. Well, no, median is... I can remember.
Let's not talk about math.
Anyways,
Katie,
That's
done
not
with your-
math, that's statistics.
Still a subset of math in my book.
Yeah, it actually is.
Anyway, it fulfills a math credit.
Really?
All right.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm done.
All right.
It's a solid book. Superheroes without superpowers are the heroes.
Yeah, we've often talked about like what makes a hero, and I think this is a good.
What makes a
examination.
man?
it's the woman in his arms.
I don't.
Just because she's got big tits.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
It's the way he fights every day. No, it's probably the
I'm
tits.
done. I'm done with this.
Those of you with culture in class will know that I'm referring to the theme song from Orgasmo, the amazing
Okay.
Matt Stone, Trey Parker
Yeah.
film, which had the greatest
I do
superhero
know
theme
that.
song ever.
I just didn't catch it. That's the one that's got the "Now you're a man, man." Yeah. Okay.
Live it!
All right. Anyway, I would like to pitch a book. Should I go next? Audrey, you want to go next? What do you want
go
to do?
last.
You want to go last?
He wants to go
All right.
last.
I'll go next. I would like to pitch a book that is very near and dear to my heart for reasons I don't understand.
Like literally? Like, did you put it in your sweatshirt?
Yeah, I'm hiding it in my sweatshirt right now. No, I love this book and I can't explain why, except that it presses a lot of my buttons that I like. It's the Infinity Gauntlet. Jim Starlin, George Perez does some of the art on that, and it's just a Marvel cosmic story near the early days of the Marvel cosmic era. And you get to see some of the greatest heroes and cosmic entities.
And Adam Warlock.
One of my favorite characters when I was a kid.
And very much of the story revolves around Adam Warlock's rebirth. because he's...
Yeah, but he's been reborn a bunch of times.
Yeah, but he is reborn within this story, so you guys...
Literally every story he is reborn.
Yeah, it's a decent introduction to Adam Warlock if you've never read any Adam Warlock stories.
And it actually leads into Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch, which is awesome. Yeah.
And the Infinity Crusade,
because it's got
which is
Maxim
really good
in it.
Too. Yeah. And I love Marvel Cosmic stuff.
I'm actually going to blow all credibility that I might have earned up until this point by saying that I actually really like Infinity Crusade. I think that crossover was great.
Yeah, I don't know that I've read that one.
I haven't. I've read part. That's the one with the goddess, isn't it?
That's the one with the goddess, where she
have.
kidnaps half the heroes on Earth and converts them to her side.
Yep. Okay.
And it's a big hero on hero fight.
Yes,
it's great.
It is great. This is the beginning of all of that: Infinity Watch, Infinity Crusade, all that stuff. And if you're excited about the new Avengers movie coming out this summer,
this is actually where the Infinity Gems come from.
Yeah. This is a must-read story for you if you're like, I want to know who that purple guy was at the end of the first Avengers movie. You should read this. I think everybody should read this as a history lesson in
Spoiler alert,
70s
he's
comics.
A big jerk.
And he's awesome, and I love him. I love Thanos. I love his relationship with
Thanos
Death. I love Mephisto in this story. I love all of the heroes that on Earth that go to space.
Thanos is great because he's a ripoff of Darkseid, and then so they made Thanos, and then DC ripped off Thanos and made Mogul or Mongol.
Yeah,
and I always thought it was funny because it's like you already had Darkseid, and that's
Mongol's
always get those guys confused. Well, yeah, I know,
Me too.
Mongol. I always associate Mongol with Kang. Not Kang. What the fuck is his name? Long Shot. Mojo.
Mojo
Jojo.
That's
Like Entertainment Planet type thing. Yeah.
Well, he ruled over Gladiator Planet.
Yeah, I mean,
War World.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly different, but
World.
it's
It
all
reminds
about the
me
ratings
of
and
Battle Beast from Invincible.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that Battle Beast is a specific reference.
Yeah,
to Mongol.
or
Absolutely.
like Drax the Destroyer or somebody like that, who is a cosmic character.
Yeah.
So
and actually intimately tied to Thanos.
yeah, if you want a good introduction to the Marvel cosmic stuff, there's two places I think you can jump on. I think there is Infinity Gauntlet or Annihilation, which is modern Marvel cosmic.
And
Or
it's
Cosmic
actually,
Odyssey.
And I think, well, it's DC. And I
know,
think
that's
you
the
should
point.
read both of those because they introduce you to a very different era in Marvel Cosmic, but
Absolutely.
both excellent and both super fun. And if you want to see like super powered characters, because the Marvel Cosmic, the power level is always so much higher. And so you see characters like Wolverine who are the best at what they do, and Captain America who like always comes out on top, go up against threats that they are just 100% unprepared to fight against. Like these guys are way out of their league. And it's kind of what we talked about when we talked about Eternals, kind of what we talked about when we talked about Nova before, but like these characters are...
It's Marvel characters versus DC power level characters.
Yeah, these guys are crazy powerful. And so that's what I've always loved about the Cosmic is it feels like so much more is at stake too, because the Infinity Gauntlet has the ability to destroy reality.
Yeah.
And so I find it to be really entertaining. It's a fun story. It's a light read.
well, and it's Starlin doing what he does best, which
Cosmic
is
stuff.
kind of this
And-
cosmic stuff.
Actually, if you're particularly interested in Adam Warlock and Thanos and Gamora, who are all awesome fucking characters, the origin, and I guess it's not technically the origin of Adam Warlock, but all of those characters kind of get their current interpretation starting in Strange Tales number 178 through 181.
Nice.
Which I actually read numerous times as a kid.
Yeah.
It's a great freaking story. I'm sure it's collected somewhere. I'm just looking up his Wikipedia page real quick. But that is a great story that I would love to talk about sometime.
Yeah, and that happens right before Infinity Gauntlet.
No.
Probably like,
That's
what,
back in
5
that's
years?
75.
Yeah, but Infinity Gauntlet's not that much later than that.
Infinity
Infinity
Gauntlet is
Gauntlet's
late.
91.
Yeah, it's either late 80s or early 90s.
I was
like
in,
89,
I thought 80s,
90.
so I thought it was like 10 years after that.
15.
Okay. But
It's a while.
it's before... I know that it's comes out
91.
before
Yeah.
Cosmic Odyssey, which was like 94 or something, right?
I think so.
Yeah, basically Adam Warlock showed up a few times in the 70s after that, and then did not show up again until 1991 with Infinity Gauntlet.
Nice. So, I think everyone should read Infinity Gauntlet, even if we don't pick it. I think it's an awesome Marvel Cosmic stuff.
That's a
And
great-
if
yeah.
you are interested in the Avengers movies, and you're wondering what's going on with the Infinity Gems, check this out, because this is where they come from.
Yep.
So, and the art's awesome.
It
I
is.
love this older
Oh,
style
well, it's
art.
George Perez and Ron Lim who
Yeah.
are
And Jim Starlin wrote Cosmic Odyssey, which we
Yep.
talked about once before, which is
Correct.
another great cosmic story.
Yep.
So if you like that, this is in many ways similar.
Yeah.
In tone and style, at
Yeah.
least, if not content.
But the art is the art's very much not Mike Mignola. It's very much more like Crisis on Infinite
Well,
Earths
it's super
and stuff
clean.
like that.
It's
so.
super. It's really detailed. It's
There's some really great Captain America moments in there
Oh
too.
yeah, it's good. I like the whole story. So go check it out, guys. And Audrey, what would you like to read?
I brought Titans Old Friends by George Winnick, Ian Churchill, Joe Benitez, and Julian Lopez. And it's incredibly good. Because for many reasons. It starts out with the original, like the all original Teen Titans, like
The new Teen Titans.
Yeah,
yeah.
As Starfire.
Like
Yeah,
Robin,
the original Teen Titans
Kid
were
Flash.
all the sidekicks.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
added like Starfire and Cyborg and
Yeah.
Raven
Boy.
and Beast Boy.
Changeling.
Well, he was
So it has
Changeling in
Robin, Kid
All
Flash,
new Teen Titans.
Starfire,
Yeah.
Donna
I
Troy,
think so.
Beast Boy, Cyborg, Red Arrow, and Raven. It starts out with them being kids, like they did when they were younger. They went on missions and stuff.
Which Red Arrow is it?
It's
Roy Harper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically what goes on is Raven's father is back. What's his name?
Trigon.
Trident. Trigon. Thank you.
I watched like half of one season of the Teen Titans cartoon.
It's
Yeah,
good.
I watched all of it.
It's super good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Real fan.
Don't flip your collar at me.
The audio.
Wow,
part's gonna be
rude.
It is gonna be good, isn't it?
But basically it takes place at the Teen Tower and all of them reunite because Raven is messed up. Her father is back and her three brothers, something, and something. I can't really remember.
Well, I
their
believe
names.
make their first appearance.
Yeah,
in
I
this
think
book.
this is.
I've
Yeah,
never
they
actually
do.
read
I'm
it.
pretty
so-
sure this is their first appearance.
Yeah, they come and they're like, we want our sister back. And they go through a whole battle, like usual stuff. After that, they go through this like, oh, but I don't want to be a team anymore. I work solo. Nightwing is like, of course, Robin becomes Nightwing. Nightwing is like,
Spoilers.
Does he actually become Nightwing in this?
No.
No. This is
They don't-
Black
they don't
Lightning.
show it.
Flashbacks, so,
Okay.
like,
Yeah,
part
they
of the
don't
story,
show
he's
it.
Robin.
Okay.
Of course, because Starfire
Spoilers.
and Robin had a thing. Obviously, I mean,
20-year-old
everybody knows that.
Spoiler, be careful.
30.
Yeah.
So
40.
Nightwing is like, Starfire, I
He
still
doesn't
love you, blah, 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 blah.
Pre-crisis.
Crisis. Guys, stop talking. Audrey's talking.
And Nightwing is just like, oh, but I still love you, Starfire. But I don't want to, I work solo, blah. And then Raven is like, I need you to make sure that I don't go cray-cray again. Because she went cray. She went #cray.
Did she go 2 hashtags, Cray?
Yeah. Like,
Can you
Girl.
hashtag a hashtag? Audrey, I don't know anything about Twitter. Can you hashtag a hashtag?
hashtag. Yeah, you can hashtag a hashtag.
Oh, okay.
You can do
Hashtag,
hashtag and then H/T or
What you
forward
really
slash
needed
T.
to do
and
there
that's
is say,
hashtag.
Raven's upset because her dad's back. # parents just don't understand.
Hashtag unblessed.
So why would you recommend this?
Unblessed.
Why would you recommend this story to me, Audrey?
I would recommend it because I feel like the Teen Titans is one of those things where it's just like, when you think of DC Comics and superheroes in general, you normally think of like Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman or one of the original 7. None of these people are one of the original 7, minus the Flash. I'm not going to name the Flash because he's my favorite superhero and he's in the Teen Titans. Anyway.
Well, he originally was in the Teen Titans as Kid Flash.
Yeah. And
Editor's note.
You never think, you think of Robin.
Hashtag editor's note.
You think of Robin, you don't think of Donna Troy or Beast Boy or Red Arrow or Raven or any of those lesser characters, and I feel like it brings it back to be like, hey, we're still here, we still matter.
Well, at this point, too...
Hey, Red Arrow's in the Justice League.
It is good to note at this point that these Teen Titans have been replaced by a new generation of Teen Titans that includes, like, Wonder
Which
Girl.
is stupid.
This is the Young Justice, or is this the new Teen Titans?
Yeah.
This is the new Teen Titans.
This is the new Teen Titans here. That's Donna Troy as Wonder Girl, Robin.
Well, but this came out at the same time. There was still a Teen Titans book. This is Titans.
Yeah.
And so in Teen Titans, there was, like,
No, but this is
Ravager and
Ravager.
the Demon Boy, and, like, the Teen Titans team has been replaced. This is post-Infinite Crisis
Okay.
that this happened.
Demon Boy, Kid
So-
Devil, wasn't that his
Kid
name?
Devil, that's
But
what
it's the new Teen Titans team from the 80s.
Yes.
They were
Yes.
called New Teen Titans.
correct.
Yes, absolutely.
I meant that this is after Jeff Johns has taken over
Yes.
and
Yes.
turned Young Justice
Yes.
back into Teen
This
Titans.
is actually...
I think I looked at the beginning, it was like 2005 or
Yeah,
something.
this is
right after 52, I think. This is the, like, 1 year later jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there is still a Titans team, but they are very much different because most of the original Titans are either, of the Jeff Johns Teen Titans, the Young Justice Teen Titans, are dead. Like, Connor's dead, and, you know...
Fuck you, Superboy Prime.
Yeah, and Robin is off trying to do Red Robin-y shit, and then Wonder Girl's all messed up because her boyfriend died, and so the Teen Titans team is not very well organized. So this is them, kind of the new Teen Titans coming back and being like, should we be a team still? Does the world still need us, or do we all work solo? And, you know, like Cade said, Roy's on the Justice League at this point. So
This is before Outcast, or not yeah. Wait.
No, it's not.
This is...
This is after Outcasts.
it's after Infinite Crisis.
But, so, Tim Drake gets the Titans back together, the Teen Titans back together.
Before,
And then,
like 5 volumes
Or
before.
Outsiders is what we were thinking.
Outsiders, that's what I'm thinking
Outsiders
of.
Ran
happened.
parallel to Jeff Johns' Teen
Yeah.
Titans.
No, it totally did.
But they broke up before this happened.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was asking. I should bring that one day, because the first arc of that has them fighting gorillas in, like, Bloodhaven or something. It's
First
great.
arc of what?
Outsiders.
I brought it.
It's so good.
Nobody voted for it.
Well,
Shame on you, Joe.
Joe voted for it in his heart.
All right. Audrey, is there anything else you want to say about this book? What do you think of the art? Is it good? I'll take that as a
This
yes.
art, though. This art is
Ooh,
so
baby, that art.
clean. You can't do it. You suck at it, and no.
Do I get to do it, though, Audrey?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
girl.
art, though.
Yeah.
So the art is so clean. I love clean art. There's nothing that thrills me more about a comic that has clean art.
It's very polished.
Very, like, polished.
Ponit?
Polished?
Yep.
Totes.
That too.
Totes
Very
polished.
Hashtag polished.
Hashtag Miyazaki.
Hashtag I'm a little fish. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag.
Nope, you're done.
You're
no
done.
more
You're
hashtags.
done.
Okay, yeah.
You're grounded from the hashtags
All right.
now.
So, yeah.
It has very clean, sleek art.
It has really nice colors from where I'm
Yeah,
sitting.
it
Yeah,
has
really nice.
very, nice, bright colors.
like Superman, Batman, 2006 DC.
Yeah, that DC art that was much brighter than it is now.
Yeah, I must mention that in the beginning, it is not just, Nightwing, the Flash, Starfire, Donna Troy, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Red Arrow, and Raven. It is also a whole bunch of other characters. Like,
that were Titans. Also,
that
Have been
were
Titans.
Is Jericho
also
there?
Titan. Huh?
No.
No.
Aw.
He did.
Way gone.
He did.
But Jericho.
He way did.
He's way gone.
But
He waited.
Jericho, no, he did.
Apparently he's dead.
I didn't know.
I don't think he's dead.
Of course, Donna Troy is in this, and she'd also
Actually, he
been
probably
dead.
never existed at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well, the New 52, of
we
course
don't
not.
talk about that.
Were there... Okay. I have a question about New 52. Was there an original Teen Titans team? Because
Yes.
they...
Yeah,
okay,
we talked
this-
about this.
No, because this is my serious question. in the early editions of the single issues, they mentioned that there was an original Teen Titans trade, but in the trades, they edited that out.
Then I have no idea.
Okay. I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, I read like the first.
I'm sure that
The
Dan
collected
DiDio is
editions-
confused also.
The collected editions of the New 52 have some like editorial retcon shit going on that nobody knows what's really happening.
Yeah, because I was really confused
Well,
because I
and
started reading it in singles.
I
and then-
just read
Yeah.
somewhere that with Teen Titans is getting canceled,
Yeah.
and with that, and one other artist, DC, out of its original 52 artist creative teams on their 52 books, will be left with 3 of the original starters of the New 52.
Isn't
3
it
out of 52 books.
isn't it
3.
funny that their new series is called The New 52?
That's their new universe.
Um,
Anyways,
Well, it's because 52 was incredibly popular, and they wanted to confuse the shit out of everybody by
Yep.
having almost the same name on something that's really good and something that's really shitty.
also, is one of those teams, does it include Rob Liefeld?
no, Rob
Damn.
Liefeld. Actually, Rob Liefeld spoke out against DC for being shitty, editorially speaking, because it's like when Rob Liefeld's like, "Hey, you're fucking with my characters, man." That's kind of something to take up. No, it's Scott Snyder and I can't remember. Scott Snyder, and somebody else. I can't
Snyder.
remember.
All right.
One of the other Batman dudes.
Joe, what would you like to read?
I would like to read
The Infinity Gauntlet?
Infinity Gauntlet,
Sweet.
hands down.
I'm also going to vote for Infinity
Oh,
Gauntlet.
shit.
Come
Okay.
back to me.
Audrey? What are you voting for?
Actually, no. I want to vote for Pirates. Scurvy Dogs.
All
right.
right.
Scurvy
Audrey,
Dog.
what you voting for?
Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, shit. I brought that as a throwaway because I thought we were going to vote for Chew because I'm voting for Chew. And for some reason in my head, I was like,
would've liked-
everybody loves Chew. We'll
I
read
would have loved to
Chew.
vote for Chew, and I will bring it again. Because,
You should. It's
I think
also a
it's
good
great
candidate
book.
for the long run because that series just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
So,
That's absolutely
all right.
true.
I
Well,
also
and then I can force everybody to read it.
I thought it would. I brought a throwaway book because I was like, well, we're done with superheroes for a while. We're reading something else. But Infinity Gauntlet's not really a superhero story.
Nope.
Cosmic
I
stuff.
made it
Set in a
basically is.
superhero universe.
But it's not DC, so
Yeah.
there's that.
All right. So read Infinity Gauntlet. We'll talk about that next time. Thanks, everybody.
And
for
I get to read
listening.
about Adam Warlock. Yay!
Yay! And yeah, we'll catch you guys later.
Thanks to Audrey for coming out and talking with us. I think
You're
she did
so
well.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks for ruining our show. I mean, yay! Thanks for being here.
Chart, I'll kill you in your sleep.
All right, bye.
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 Bye.